Anbernic's RG35XX Plus is here to take on the Miyoo Mini Plus, which was one of my favorite retro gaming handhelds this year. So does it take the crown? In a word, yes. But before we get into it, are you looking for a way to safely and quickly transfer files and apps to a new PC? Well, say hello to Ease Us To Do PC Trans, a simple to use app that can help you transfer programs from one PC to another or create a full backup of your computer. Try it for free with a link in the video description. So Lit NXT sent me the black Anbernic RG35XX Plus, and with coupon code RG1 you can get it for $76.80 linked in the video description. That includes a 64GB SD card with games on it. You can also get another 128GB card full of games for a bit extra, and that's because the RG35XX Plus has two SD card slots on the side, while the Miyoo Mini Plus only has one. There's also a reset and power button. On top of the handheld is a mini HDMI port which allows you to output your games to a TV or monitor. It's limited to 720p resolution, which is fine with the games you'll be playing on this. There are volume buttons on the left side, USB-C charging, and a 3.5mm audio jack underneath. The back has R and L buttons which have a pretty nice feel to them. They're not going to beat a horizontal handheld, but they do the job nicely and feel better than the ones found on the Miyoo Mini Plus. The battery is easily removable by unscrewing the compartment cover. The front has a menu button and the usual suspects for the rest. Anbernic consistently makes good D-pads and face buttons, and this one follows the trend. Unfortunately, there's no analog stick on the RG35XX Plus, and that can be problematic for the higher end systems, but we'll get to that shortly. I think a 3.5-inch screen is the minimum size for a proper gaming session on the go, so it's good to see the Plus having that exact size. As with most Anbernic handhelds, it's 640 by 480 resolution. The screen is great, with nice color reproduction and a good amount of brightness. Not touchscreen though, which impacts the playability of some of the Nintendo DS game library. The RG35XX Plus features a new processor, the H700 quad-core ARM Cortex, which is much better than the CPU found in the Miyoo Mini Plus. Anbernic claims the 3300 mAh battery provides 8 hours of battery life. I got around 6 hours and 50 minutes, but it will depend on which system you play, brightness, volume, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. Wi-Fi lets you play online, and the handheld also supports Moonline streaming for those interested. You can also connect a Bluetooth controller. Oh, I haven't even mentioned what's in the box yet. There's the USB charging cable, a manual, screen wipes, and a screen protector. The usual Anbernic package. This is a handheld running on Linux, and Anbernic's out-of-the-box effort is decent, but it needs some tweaks. I'm sure someone will come along with a better, faster, more optimized custom OS for this soon enough. And this handheld sure could do with it. I'll get into why shortly. As it is though, turn it on and navigate through to your system of choice and start playing games. It's easy. I recommend using RetroArch for better features. The RG35XX Plus will have zero problems handling the older systems and handhelds. Most of the 2D games run full speed without issue. The higher end 2D arcade games might not run at full speed, but the majority of the consoles and handhelds will be fine. I use RetroArch for my game tests, so let's check out the 3D games. PlayStation 1 titles all run full speed, even when I double the output resolution to match the screen, by choosing the enhanced resolution option in the RetroArch menu. This is awesome, because at double resolution, PS1 games look much nicer than native and really make use of this screen. I also noticed there's vibration in games, so it's set up and working here out of the box. It's an okay feature, not quite like proper Rumble, and uses up battery life faster, but some might love it. Personally, I turned it off. I was surprised to see no Nintendo 64 games are included on the 64GB card, as there is still storage space left on it. Anyway, after adding a few games, Mario Kart at 240p resolution performs okay. There are some stutters and slowdown, but it's mostly full speed. When I up the resolution to 480p to match the screen, it's just too slow. Even at 240p, there are stutters and drops in frame rate in the games I tried. F-Zero also has an inconsistent frame rate, while Cruisin' USA, which is a hard to emulate title, isn't playable. Star Fox runs pretty well. Again, some stutters and drops in frame rate, but very playable. Super Smash Bros. Runs a bit slow. Now this is an area where custom OS with optimizations might do better, and these games, well, apart from Cruis'n USA, might run at full speed. One other thing you can do is grab the PAL Nintendo 64 ROMs, which run at 50 Hz, and then you'll get full speed in most titles. Another thing to be aware of is there's no analog stick support, so you might run into problems with games that require both a D-pad and analog stick for functions, or only work with the analog stick. In that case, you'll need to configure the D-pad to work as the analog stick. Overall, Nintendo 64 works pretty well, but it's far from perfect. Sega Dreamcast is another system which is possible to emulate on the RG35XX Plus. By default, RetroArch is running Dreamcast games at 240p, which is half its native resolution, and personally, I think it looks awful. A blurry mess, with even text being hard to read. You can increase the resolution to 480p native, and then restart to fix it. Soul Calibur runs at full speed, which is awesome. Daytona has the problem of a missing analog stick, so it's not possible to steer. Again, you'll need to go into the RetroArch options and map the analog stick to the D-pad. While the frame rate doesn't show it, the game feels like it's running full speed. Looks to be like automatic frame skip is enabled. Same with Virtua Tennis. It feels like it's full speed, but visually, it's a bit choppy with frames cut out to keep up the pace. And that's the same deal with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Not bad, but definitely not the smoothest experience. And hot damn, this D-pad is really nice. Might be my favorite from Anbernic. It's a little less stiff than the ones from previous handhelds, but isn't as mushy as the one on the Miyoo Mini Plus. Anyway, you'll be able to play a decent chunk of the Dreamcast library on this handheld. As with Nintendo 64, 50Hz PAL Dreamcast games will be your friend. Finally, we have PlayStation Portable. Ridge Racers isn't full speed, and I think it's got too many stutters to make it really playable. Something like Mega Man Maverick Hunter X is full speed, as is Bomberman. But Tekken runs slow. It really will depend on a per game basis and what you can accept. Frame skip also helps a bit, but didn't remove all stutters. I wouldn't be buying the Anbernic RG35XX Plus specifically for Nintendo 64, Dreamcast and PSP, but they're definitely nice to have with quite a few games playable. It's pretty comfortable for a vertical handheld, and it does beat out the Miyoo Mini Plus in pretty much everything apart from the custom software. Even the speaker is positioned better. My thumb doesn't cover it while playing, like it did with the Miyoo Mini Plus. Somewhere that the RG35XX Plus doesn't do well is with sleep mode battery life. Overnight, it drains a lot. While sleep mode is a great function to quickly get back in the action, I recommend turning off the handheld completely if you're not going to play within a couple of hours or so. Another thing Anbernic needs to fix, or will be fixed by a custom OS, is the HDMI output. It displays everything at 16:9 widescreen, even if the game's a 4:3 aspect ratio. That's just not good enough. Stretch games don't look good at all. By default, they should display at the correct aspect ratios. Alright, so let's summarize. The Anbernic RG35XX Plus has a great D-pad and nice controls in general. The new CPU allows some Nintendo 64, Dreamcast and PSP games to be played on the system at full speed. Build quality is excellent for the dollars. However, no analog stick makes some of the new systems a bit problematic to use, and there are various operating system issues that I've already pointed out in the review. The Anbernic RG35XX Plus is a nice budget handheld, which does most things right. For a budget gaming machine, it's very impressive, and I'm sure it will have a custom OS solution soon. You can find the RG35XX Plus linked in my video description. But if you'd like a bit more power and analog sticks, why not check out my Powkitty RGB30 review, which provides all that for a bit more. Cheers!